só pra recuar, mas olha o Muriz!
Para la segunda, tiene la tercera y se va por supuesto.
Welcome back to VCT Americas and our second match of the day. It's MiBR versus Leviatán. I'm Dash, and I'm still joined by Mimi and Sean once again as we're gearing up for another best-of-3 bout. First one delivered, we're hoping the second one does as well, but our next matchup might help answer the question that's been on everyone's mind here in Americas. Is Brazil the best region? Well, right now they sport an 8-2 record overall when we combine the teams.
And they've only lost to other Brazilian teams. Right now, Brazil is winning everything here in the league.
Yeah, and I'd say Aspas is like the final boss. Like, we're not going to ever kill this guy. I'm pretty sure we're just never going to beat him at this point.
We'll have to combine forces. We get a 10v5 or something like that by the end of the season
like
to
that.
take him down.
It's so good, too, because we expected Loud to be good. We expect them to be at the top of the league, and we were like, okay, Furia has the chance for that. Furia has been able to do that, but so has MiBR, a team with far lower
I was
expectations.
going to say, one of the interesting narratives around Brazil of old has been that they were a one-team region, right? And then we combine the regions here in VCT Americas, and they are just the top of our region.
It's now one region where it's only Brazil.
Exactly. And MiBR are a big piece of Brazil's success in this region. They're coming in today with a 2-1 record, as we mentioned, only dropping a game to fellow Brazilian squads. And they're looking quite strong. This was one of the teams that people were more cold on, Sean, in the offseason.
I was especially cold on them. After watching them at lock-in, I thought there were so many things that this team would need to work on. But then I watched them like as they progressed through this split so far. And what they did last week to NRG was something I never envisioned this team being able to do in this season right here. So the way they've progressed throughout this season has been amazing. All of their players stepping up, and it's not even primarily coming from Heat, in my opinion, Mimi.
No, it's not. It's the entirety of this team finding consistency. And the thing is that the first few matches, we looked at them and it's like, oh, they're playing the super scrappy game against Crew. They're relying on these like individual pop-offs to win rounds, but they kind of went and did a similar thing here against NRG. Not only did this team have those crazy late game pop-offs to win rounds, but also I think the way they play works really well for the players that they have. They play the super slow style where they're just taking their time, letting their players get these picks. And Heat's not an Aspas. He's not the guy who's getting every single kill and going crazy. He just does a great job of creating space for them and giving opportunities for everyone else to find those pop-ups, to find the openings for the squad in the mid-round.
You mentioned Heat. I think Marie's in the Viper role. When they run the Harbor Viper, he's just popping off. And JZZ, I think you're a big fan of him. Like, you mentioned him on the initiator role. These players just have so much impact from supportive roles within this team. Their individual skill shines through time and time again.
Yeah, they really do. Maurice is the IGL of this team as well and was the top performer against NRG as an individual. The same thing with JZZ. And when I mentioned those late round pop-offs, for the most part, it was these two. In the split match against NRG, it was JZZ flashing in and him and Maurice going for these crazy retakes onto the B site. On the Icebox game as well, it was these two stepping up, finding these lurk timings for Maurice. It's the consistency across the board for this squad that I feel like makes them so good.
And to some degree, I think the performance of these two specifically, right, is what is different from the preconceived notion that people had of these squads coming in. Yeah, there's always the expectation that Heat's going to find some kills and maybe individually win a round or two for his squad. But when it comes to MiBR, being able to basically live up to and play against any level of opponent, because they've gone to 3 maps every single time, regardless of opponent. A lot of it, I do think, comes off of Maurice and JZZ.
I couldn't agree more. And these series that they've been playing, they're going 3 maps. They're going super deep. They're lacking the experience, but they're getting all this map pressure in these high-impact scenarios. And if you look, their map pool is getting better and better. I'm pretty sure they played all 7 maps since lock-in. They're one of the few teams that have done it.
Right.
And people don't know that about MiBR. They're just slowly getting better and better, and they can take Leviatán today across the entire map pool, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's such a comparison from what kind of preconceived notion that I got from them at lock-in. I saw their matches there, and I'm like, okay, this team has some individual players that are really good, but they're always going to, when games get late, make mistakes, and things are going to fall apart. But here in Americas, they've been so good at playing playing in those games that become a grind, where it's so back and forth, keeping their mental in check, coming up with new ideas in the late round. I never had that notion that Maurice was the kind of IGL who could really bring those new moments, those new ideas into late games, but they've been doing it consistently against great teams.
Yeah, MiBR, a pleasant surprise so far here in 2023. Let's move on to Leviatán. They are also 2-1. Hey, go figure. But that could have been 1-2 if not for a few overtime rounds versus Sentinels. Sentinels that seems to fall victim to those final couple rounds.
Yeah, and in my opinion, Leviatán, they're a little bit of a question mark for me because I was super high on them at lock-in, right? All the teams were saying their practices are going so well. I was buying into those scrim bucks really hard. Yeah. But as I watched them progress more and more, their map pool seems to be shrinking as opposed to expanding, right? They're not too good on Icebox. They're not too good on Fracture. They're average on Split, as we saw against Sentinels. And these are problems when you look at like the top S-tier teams in our region. That's not the case for Loud or even someone like Energy or Fnatic or Navi. You know, Leviatán needs to really fill out their map pool, in my opinion.
They really do, and I think they have to win out for the rest of the season. You look at the strength of their schedule coming up: MiBR, 100 Thieves, EG, Crew, C9. These are teams that at the beginning of the season, you would have expected this squad to be able to take a win and do so dominantly, but they played that super-duper close series against Sentinels, where I think they started to show some cracks, show some issues, not just within the map pool, but also within their ideas. I feel like this team, the later they get into tournaments, they become readable. They end up doing a lot of the same preset plays. I think of the pistol round from this series where they went in, did the same split towards Heaven. Sen was ready for it and completely shut down. For Leviatán to be a top team, to not just be a team expected to be good and actually achieve those results, I feel like they need to dig deeper, improve this map pool, and also have the ability to come up with new ideas, adaptations in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and that's the pain with running with so much structure like Leviatán has. Like Owner as the coach has all these set plays. You watch them on Pearl, there's these gorgeous B set plays where Taco is going into Heaven and stuff, but it becomes readable. There's tells to these things, and you have to be able to adapt on the fly. It seems like Leviatán has struggled a little bit with that in the coming weeks, and this week is a big testing ground for them, in my opinion, at least as far as my thoughts of them are concerned. I think that I would like to see them put away MiBR across maps that they typically don't catch wins on.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I 100% agree, and I'll add to that, like, I don't want to see maps go to overtime. Like, win them in regulation, too, right? Like, don't let yourself get pushed, because a number of their series have gone late into maps, and that's where I do worry that a team like them might crumble under pressure.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think the player who's going to keep them in these games and keep them at top, and who can kind of break that structure sometimes, is Taco. And I think what he's been so impressive to me with thus far in this season is the ability as an individual player to play around these Viper Harbor comps in a meta that I think is the hardest for Jet players. This isn't the era where you can lock in an operator, go crazy, pop off as an individual anymore, but he's still finding that value on the defensive side when he's offing, and when he's on the attack side as well. He plays around utility, and he's also such a role player for the squad. Like, he's willing to sacrifice his life to get space.
Yeah, and that was a really good way to put it, a role player. And you don't really think of Jets that way. You think of them as playing very aggressive and reactively and using their utility how they see fit in certain scenarios. Most of Taco's util is pre-decided for him by the coach and the in-game leader, and he just does such a good job of just doing the things that are asked of him and taking space and trusting the teammates behind him. It's stuff that Onar has definitely drilled in from the top down on this team.
Yeah, but especially on their defensive sides, I do want to see a little bit more freedom given to Taco at times, because the structure is great. They have fantastic ideas around it, but I think what Leviatán needs to integrate is having a little bit more flexibility at times, being willing to play more in that mid-round, which is something that in the past we've really prided them for, being able to persist in the scrappy moments and come up with an idea.
So correct me if I'm wrong, just because I want to understand the point around Taco and this idea of being a role player. You know, comparatively to somebody like Aspas, right? Like, Aspas can completely take over a game and essentially win it just off of purely his own mechanics, game knowledge, and understanding of positioning, things like that. Is the point here that Taco is a little bit more reliant than on others behind him actually filling in their space, because he's not going to do more than what his role asks, in a sense?
There might be a little bit more coach presence or in-game leader presence when it comes to pathing. So if you're supposed to go in specific ways, ultimately there's certain pieces of utility that are going to be optimal in those pathings. And because of that, Taco seems kind of boxed in those pathings. Okay. Whereas if you watch Aspas, the round kind of comes to Loud. They allow the round to come to them. If the other team aggresses into them, Aspas knows how to react off of that. and then they know how to use their Harbor and Viper util really well to kind of filter fights. I'm not seeing that as much on Leviatán.
Okay,
to compare, I think Ospas is a player where they kind of build around him and the play he can make, whereas Taco a lot of times is more of a piece of the puzzle, using his utility to help the overall set play.
Makes sense. Thank you for that clarity, friends. I'm learning every day, as I'm sure you at home are as well. Now, before we move on to our second match, let's go ahead and test the Death's ability to spot VCT stars and play a quick game of Who's That Pro. It's our second edition of Who's That Pro, so we're going to grab our whiteboards here, rather. Here's how it works. We're going to run a clip of a player answering a question, but we will not be able to recognize them. Their voices will be possibly obscured, things like that. After we make our guesses, we'll play the undoctored clip to figure out if we were correct. And no peeking at Twitch chat. Put the phones away in case you've gotten them out. All right, let's see. Our first pro, we asked, who is your favorite non-teammate player in Valorant? Let's see the answer.
That's a good question.
Pô, tem cara que eu admiro muito no Valorant. Tem dois caras, vou falar duas pessoas, que um é o Crônico, que é um cara que, tipo assim, ele muda muito de função e ele sempre é muito constante. E outro cara é o Aspas, que dá pra ver que ele é muito focado nos objetivos dele, ele parece uma pessoa muito determinada, apesar de eu não conhecer ele. Ele mostra isso bastante. Então eu admiro isso nessas pessoas, nesses dois caras.
This is tough because he's talking about two different roles too, right? I was kind of hoping that the two players were going to be of the same role, and therefore we might get a hint off of that. We are going to multiple choice here though. So the possible answers are DJZin, MW0, Heat, and RGL Meister. What is everyone thinking? 2 Furia players and 2 MiBR players. I am going.
I feel like the Chronicle one is telling because it's someone who values flexibility, but also looks up to someone in just their individual skill and their ability as a duelist.
So who does that say to you?
Facts. RGL Meister.
Oh, damn. We're opposite sides of the... Okay, I went A, DJZin. You're going RGL Meister. Mimi?
I'm going MWZ.
All right, we're splitting the fields here because one of us has to be right, of course. Let's get the reveal for who it actually is.
Hey!
Oh, all right, Mimi.
Yeah, I think what clued me on is just like the flexibility because he used to be a duelist player and now he's flexing over and playing Initiator, which is what Chronicle does. So
good call. I like
sense.
that. All right, let's move on to our second pro here. And this one we asked, who is your favorite streamer? Point blank. Let's find out.
Tens?
Favorite streamer would definitely be Psalm. That's non-biased, by the way, non-biased. He's just very funny, very entertaining. He's very good at the game. He has like literally all the aspects of being like a top-tier streamer, so Sam would be my answer.
So before multiple choice comes up, can you just say it? I want to see if you really know it.
Yeah.
Crashies, right?
I think it's Crashies.
Okay, I just want to get you on record since you were claiming you knew it.
You're trying to
before.
cheat.
Yeah, this guy's
Definitely not. Let's get that multiple choice up now.
That's crazy.
And find out because your options are Crashies, Rooney, Ethan, and Victor. And guys, I feel like I really know who this is. Yeah. I feel like I knew the whole time.
Yeah, you really.
So I'm just gonna go with the answer that I had locked in my brain before anyone else spoke. It's obviously a Crashies.
Crashies.
You got a plural. Yeah.
Clearly. Let's get the reveal though. Let's just make sure I'm right.
All right.
I like to know that I'm right.
I'm
well
proud
done,
of
me. Sean, step it up. No, I'm
I
just
forgot to put a voice filter on Crashies right there. I could just...
That's true, actually. Maybe for the English speakers, we're going to have to do a full-on voice filter in the future or something like that. All right. Let's see. We got one more question. It just says let's move on to our last question. I've got no idea what they asked, but we'll hear the answer.
Soy bastante simple, pero chipotle. Me gusta mucho el chipotle o Panda Express. Es muy bueno.
Yeah. Big fan of that Chipotle stream. So I'm assuming favorite bite out to eat here in LA or some favorite meal in general. All right, here are our choices. Nagzat, Shai, Mazzino, or Kesnit.
I'm trying to think of team sponsors. Is Leviatán or Crew sponsored by a fast food?
All I can think of is Burger King for Loud.
Yeah, that's the only one I got
when it comes to the food predictions. Okay, this one.
Chipotle enjoyer.
Nah.
But also Panda Express, which are like opposite ends of the fast food spectrum, by the way. You've got it?
I got this.
Dude, what the hell? You want to say it real quick?
I got it.
Okay.
No cheating this time.
All right, I'm just gonna go.
What are you writing?
I'm gonna go with C. I'm just gonna go Mazzino. This is a total shot in the dark. I've got no reasoning behind this.
Going Kesnit.
Kesnit.
Got the full name.
And Nags. All
Yeah,
right.
full name,
Government name.
All right. Who's it gonna be? Let's get that reveal.
Shot.
We're all wrong.
All right.
How are we all wrong? Oh.
I don't look so shy in that. I don't know. It's so hard to guess.
Wow, dude.
That was my second guess.
We just fired a whole magazine and missed every bullet on that one right there. Oh my
That's
goodness. Yeah, we didn't get so lucky spraying through the smoke on that one. Well, another fun game, getting to know our players just a little bit better. Now, before we get into MiBR versus Leviatán, there's only one player we need to talk about, and that's King. Well, only one more player, I should say. Not the only player we must talk about, but King, his aggressive play could make all the difference here today.
I wonder what kind of fast food joint he likes. Maybe it's someone with fast delivery, because this guy was going for some insane pushes in the mid-round in the series against Sentinel. King as an IGL is such a curious player because he's not only playing from that leadership position, but it's also so much more aggressive than you expect from other IGLs. He'll so often kind of just use himself to push in the mid-round, to make these aggressive plays. It was the case back when he was playing Raze, and you still see some of it now when he's on the Viper and the controller roles.
Yeah, and this round that we're watching where he cleared out mid, he did it a couple times in this game to Sentinels to punish him. You see it on him when he plays initiators as well, Breach, KO. This guy has so much impact throughout the rounds and does such a good job of carrying out all of Onar's game plans as the head coach of the team. I'm so impressed with him as a young IGL.
It also gives such flexibility to this team. He's a guy who can inject those new ideas into the roster.
I drew King. It's a
that
really
King?
kind of looks like a terrible crown, but
Is that
that was my best effort. Okay, it's MiBR. It's Leviatán taking to the stage. Both teams looking to climb the ladder and break that tie between them. We're back out to the stage to get it underway.
Maybe stick to hosting. Art's not for you.
It's our second bout of the day, MiBR versus Leviatán. 2-1 teams looking to create some separation in the standings and cement themselves in their position up top the table and the chase for Loud in the season overall.
This is a chance for Leviatán to show that they truly are a top 4 team. Thus far, we have seen this squad get tested in their last few series. We haven't seen them dominate quite in the way that we expected. And for them, beating MiBR, not just beating them, but doing it in dominant fashion, I think is their chance to prove that they are still at the top of America.
I'm going to go the other side. I think this is MiBR's turn to really prove themselves to not only our team, but the world. They're going to put their names on the map today. And I think Leviatán is a little bit hobbled. You know, took a loss earlier in the season and have been pushed to the limit now by these North American teams. I think MiBR can exploit this map pool, use their individual skill, and do some anti-try to do some work this series.
Yeah, MiBR is now in the position that I feel like Leviatán was like a year ago, where there's this team who's been consistently getting better, has good ideas, good coordination, has been slowly getting a few upset wins, but no one's really paying attention. Leviatán concluded that arc. They kept the upward cycle, and they've now gained the expectation of a top team. And MiBR is still hunting for that.
Yeah, trying to break through into that main conversation, become a household name, and be a team to be feared. But I want to come directly back to a conversation that you started, Sean, when talking about the map pools between these teams. This kind of idea that the teams are on maybe opposite trajectories, where MiBR has really shown us that they're willing to compete across all of the maps in the available pool, and at times have been able to push even the best teams all the way. For Leviatán, we seem to be honing in on either some clear weaknesses or gaps within those map pools that they can't play to.
Yeah, we weren't really sure what was going on with Leviatán's icebox. I wanted to see them test on it, and then Furia picked it into them and just obliterated them when they ran into them. And then they have always been Fracture. They're kind of scared of Fracture. And Split didn't look all that solid against Sentinel. So there's 3 maps out of 7 right now that look a little bit iffy for Leviatán.
And on the other side, MiBR has changed their ban every week. They're a team who's willing to play all 7 maps and will target ban against their opponents. And I'm surprised by that.
They
because
like
I
Ascent.
feel like Leviatán's Ascent has looked rougher. They've looked beatable on that map. It used to be their best, but I don't feel that's the case any longer. I think Pearl is now their best map, and I would have actually expected MiBR to not let this one through.
I think MiBR knew that Leviatán was about to pick Pearl, and there is a lot of footage of that Pearl. And MiBR picking Icebox is, like I said, they're going right into the weakness, right? They see a hobbled opponent right now, and they are picking the Heineken 0.0, Mimi.
Yeah, this is where we get a question of preparation. If they can win Pearl, Icebox looked honestly tragic for Leviatán last time we saw them play there. This is also, for them, a test of how well have you put things together in the last week, because you have 2 matches to prepare for. Lotus is out of the window for Leviatán. That's one that MiBR is willing to play. Not really a surprise there. Haven gone as well, which leaves us with Split as a decider, which again, a map where both these teams are very willing to play. It's pretty solid for both, I'd say.
All right, so yeah, maybe a possible coin flip there if we make it all the way to map 3, but already some interesting stuff coming out of MiBR. I do wonder, particularly, like Pearl's been such a frequented map as well, back to the point about just data, right, and number of rounds seen, that I do have faith if MiBR is going to dive onto it, that they at least have enough tape, right, to have crafted something here.
I mean, you got to think, all these games Leviatán plays, what if there's like a random Sky Flash that's a tell, or this Viper wall is a tell versus this Harbor Cascade? So the agent comps coming in right now are very important, because I think we're going to see the same comps coming out of Leviatán.
But this is exactly the kind of play that it's either going to make you look brilliant or make you look like a total fool, right? That you're allowing Leviatán to come away with this map pick. And if whatever prepared strategy you have doesn't clap it right out the gate, then people are going to be calling into question your map veto strategy to begin with.
And it's not a problem that they're picking the same comps or anything like that, Mimi. The problem that I have is that when you watch Loud use the same comps, they're always innovating. We watched that Harbor retake on Pearl where they threw the high tide deep long with the molly. I want to see that out of Leviatán.
My fixation is on these B post plants. Leviatán is probably the best team at Pearl retakes, and it's going to be a struggle for MiBR to contend with that.
Stage is set for our second series of the day, and we're all ready to go for map number 1. Let's send it over to our casters. Here's Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, Dash Ball. We've got a banger between Leviatán and MiBR. Starting off on Pearl, there's been so much discussion around this double wall comp, but what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like we've seen too much of it at this point?
I mean, definitely a lot of teams are running it in the same style. And I think continuing what Sean was saying on the desk, Loud is one of those teams that is definitely continuing to innovate, but the rest are kind of catching up still. I think one way that you've seen Leviatán use it is a lot more retake heavy, a lot more saving when they lose that B site. They're kind of leaning into the fact that this B site on Pearl is so difficult to hold and so difficult to play the retakes in entirely. So there's the different schools of thoughts where you use the Harbor Viper as a map control tool, or you use it just as a straight up site taking tool.
MiBR on attack, creeping forward towards Art first, and you've got Taco, who should be first contact with NZR close by. There's a lot of info here. This is set up to be disastrous. Yeah, it is. The first kill goes through and the spike goes down. Look at MiBR. Look at Heat pushing the pace, but King's there to stuff it almost instantly.
And they just got abused once again on the pistol round here. And I was looking at this series and thinking, MiBR has had some very close game. Every single series has gone to 3 maps. And if they really want to take it to Leviatán, they need to be converting the pistol rounds. They have been the worst pistol round team in the Americas League so far. And yet they're still 2-1.
Almost feels like that shouldn't be the case, right? When you're losing those as frequently as they are, but nonetheless, they find themselves with that record. A little bit of testing of the waters towards B. Spike not committed yet, but the rotation's already here, Bala.
Yeah, the Viper wall being up too, the Trailblazer, they're split on both sides, which gives them an opportunity to maybe work picks, but with 30 seconds, it can be so difficult.
FRZ's already been spotted, has to take a slight step back.
High-tech came in too.
It's gone 1 for 1.
Spike's down on the other side now too, so FRZ has no way in.
He's gonna have to fight his way out of this link. With time short,
10 seconds left.
too many targets, and not enough health to deal with it all. Leviatán takes the first.
And that was a really, really nice setup inside of Art there from Leviatán. The flash from Nosworth setting up Taco brilliantly. And MiBR thought they might end up getting the upper hand there while they take down Taco with Heat dashing forward. And I think that's something that Heat has been doing very well for his team, is looking for these gaps and dashing into the gaps, allowing Muriz, allowing RGL, allowing JZZ to play up to their ability that we've seen in the last 2 weeks. But right there, definitely a little ahead of the play.
We'll see if that's the case, if that continues. As Heat tries to dictate pace. A little bit of mid control early on for MiBR, but nothing really else doing. No buy on the side of the attacking side either.
And you're also looking at that high tide coming through. Trying to control the cooldowns of that is really important as the attackers. Because you have the Harbors playing in such a floaty position, rotating very fast. If you can find a cooldown gap, those are the timings on this comp, against this comp.
But if you can't, man, a good Harbor is miserable to play against.
Well, and combined with the Viper too, the orb and the other wall timing is ridiculously hard to find.
Blinded. Careful here.
And this is something that Leviatán is so incredible at so far in the Americas League, is giving up space for reasons, giving up space for places where they can end up covering gaps later on. And they get the clock down to 30 seconds for the attack
left.
and no real chance.
Still a couple of mollies on the site too as King swings around, falls, but now without taking one with him. They still have a couple of reinforcements. Taco's still on the opposite side of the map, but there's still help on the way. Spike ticking away, Shy on the swing, spots one, the second, the third, lands the transfer, lands the spray, and lands another round for Leviatán.
They don't even need Taco in that instance.
Yep.
Anti-eco though, MiBR getting the spike down, even finding that gap in the first place, very nice. So credit to them for that.
It does kind of make me think of what you were just saying earlier, though, on how Leviatán seemed comfortable in giving up space for a very intentional reason, right? So they gave up mid. There's a deep flash, so you're going to confirm that they've lost mid, and they're okay with that. As they funnel into A, you've got the nanos. You have 3 players who are still playing on that side. It was perfect.
Yeah, you could tell that that's a focus point for Owner and this team. You can see it in the stats, too, and the way that they play their retakes. They actually allow the site to be taken 3/4 of the time, which is absurd.
Ooh, this is fast. This may be absurd as well. Taco creeping around. No aggression from MiBR. They're going to rotate away.
Again, Taco and Nosworth playing hand in hand. Just a flash out every single time. Not only that, Mazzino's here to prepare his cove in case they need to fall back. And the funny thing here about the... Ooh, hold on. Taco might get caught.
Heat might as well. He spotted him. He knows he's there. Procs the dash. Waiting for just the right moment to get out. And he decides that that's now.
And seeing 2 players all the way up B long right there gives MiBR right timing. This is what they're so good at in the series against NRG, was rotating very fast and hitting sites where they're not prepared. 2 players up B long there from Leviatán means so much less on this A side.
They're still the 6th man, so to speak, in the Killjoy utility that they're going to have to navigate around. Deep harbor wall. Zoning things off for now. Just Shy on this side of the fight. As another wall is cut through the site. Shy falls.
Spam.
That was gross. Spike now planted in an unconventional spot. They attempt to make this retake. Mazzino, the first to swing around and the first to get punished. Can King land a spam through the wall? He can.
They're cut off by a Viper Orb here.
Poison's off.
I wonder if King can control things. They're just going to have to flood their way out. They have to bully through the numbers that they have, and it succeeds.
Just not enough fuel there, but that could have gotten really scary. MiBR converting on their anti-bonus. Forcing Leviatán to figure out exactly how they're going to deal with these floats from MiBR, these fast rotates. And I want to continue speaking about that because against NRG, they were out-calling Finesse in a sense because of how often they were looking for that weak side.
Big peaks now.
And it continues the same pattern here on Pearl. Now Taco's got the op up. They're probably going to get a little less aggressive. And those gaps might not present themselves throughout the rest of this game.
They did leave Taco down in Cubby Long, but it seems like the hit from MiBR wants to end towards A. Trailblazer cleared, and I wonder if they spotted some of that Killjoy utility, the alarm bot maybe. Either way, Reckoning now invested. Scaling forward with the Cascade as well. They want to commit, they've dropped the spike. Just
out though. They did wait out that Cascade for Leviatán, who maybe wanted to flood because there was 4 people here, but because they waited it out because this took so long, they now have the KJ ult online from the plant, and that Cascade's gone. Leviatán don't have as much retake util.
Yeah, but they could just flood out, and that's exactly what they do.
Lockdown destroyed.
You put them in a position where the only thing they can do is go forward, and they take it gladly. Now Mazzino on the tap. You've got a defensive setup here. Mazzino's going to get halfway. He's going to stick it all the way through. No challenge.
It's not planted for art, but on top of that, look at that fantastic high tide out of Mazzino. He's doing that from secret. He's throwing it, and it covers not only the players in A main, but also puts a little pocket for the art players to push up on them. So all of the rest of his teammates, while they flood, they're able to get inside that orb that you see on the retake and right next to that high tide with so much space on art. You can't even get positions there to throw any of the util that you might want to. For example, FRZ throwing a nano swarm or something like that. That's a huge denial from Leviatán, and a reason why they're so focused on these retakes.
Ooh, Blades up high. Nothing for Heat, though.
Ever since people have been doing this updraft with knives at lock-in, players are no longer playing on top of that box at all.
They're scared, man. I don't blame them. Trying to find the timing with the Trailblazer. The push is there, but he has help! He's gonna get them both. No, the trade up for Mazzino. 50 HP, though, as he tries to preserve life. Swing out from NZR is good. Instantly traded, though.
He just barely escapes, too. I can't believe he's following up right now. He's actually completely cut up how MiBR want to approach this. He might catch the spike.
The flash. Oh, he got it anyway. It was behind him.
Spike down.
And now the spike's in no man's land.
That is such a different way for Leviatán to play, too. I thought the approach from MiBR was good. Actually, try to fight in mid to lessen some of that retake util that Mazzino has been so good at. And he used both Cascades, but they didn't expect a counter aggression like that.
Not only do you have to deal with his utility, you have to deal with him, too. Perfectly played by Mazzino.
And you're starting to see why the desk was putting a little bit of a question mark on allowing Pearl in to the pool entirely. I thought it was probably a good thing that they are only allowing one of Pearl and Lotus, which look like Leviatán's best 2 maps right now. But Pearl is so good right now for Leviatán. They took him down so many teams that look like, I mean, competitors to Loud, for example. And Loud just lost to Sentinels on this map. So there's turmoil. Leviatán might end up being the team that comes up on top on this map specifically.
Taco looking for a head. It's nothing but a warning shot.
This is the first time now that MiBR is taking B-Long a little bit earlier. You remember that engagement where Taco pushed out B-Long. But here, more info is denied from the Leviatán squad, so they have to be, especially now with that pick, they have to be a lot earlier with these rotates. That's a KJ ult, or util down, so investing a pit as well. I like that call from King. A lot of teams invest that ult so early to try to lock down a specific spot on the map, but if you can cover up gaps, it gets dangerous.
And just burns down so much time as Zeno able to sidestep the flash. And now no idea what's on the other side of the Cascade, and because of that Cascade, they have to use the Trailblazer to get out of link.
And that's way earlier. It's not going to spot Taco right now.
That should set him up for a kill, but no, not able to land a shot on Heat. Now Heat's going aggressive. He pushes the pace right into Taco Shorty. How much more can they find? They're dancing around the reckoning that's just wreaking havoc on the site.
Down B.
And again, it is just so well played from Leviatán there. You called out the Trailblazer that has to come out early because Mazzino's Cascade, he's using it falling back. It looks like it's a safety thing for him not to die. But in that case, he's trying to add uncertainty to what MiBR are approaching to on the other side of that wall. Taco could have been sitting there. And now they can't clear out his op. That's such a huge part of these Viper Harbor comps because there's only one initiator on the field.
Early timeout called by MiBR as we take another moment really just to discuss the minutia in that play, right? The fadeaway cascade.
Yeah.
Being what forces a Trailblazer out. And you imagine if you don't use that Trailblazer that far back and it's much deeper, you can clear out back halls, right? Yeah. Heat is probably in a better spot to challenge Taco backside, and it's an entirely different situation.
Oh, and there's more people flooding behind the dog as well. So
exactly.
That secondary follow-up from Mazzino, which was, again, a cascade out of spawn, so he could go flood into where Taco was trying to take out Heat. Those little details are really, really nice. And the other thing, too, we're seeing the innovation that Sean was asking for on Mazzino right now for Leviatán. The way that he's actually using the Harbor is allowing him to not be as localized as you might have thought when you first started theory crafting with Harbor. Because his cascades, he's now shown that one where he's falling back, fade away to help out anybody in B-Link. And then he also has one from B-Link that lands blocking art so the players on A can work against a split very well. Of course, both abilities for him, the High Tide and the Cascade, go quite some distance, but you're kind of tethered to top and center of the map.
There's almost the exact same cascade. Similar in theory. It's just intended to deny vision and knowledge of what's on the other side of Link.
So far, Heat has not found himself an opening duel win in this game. And that is so crucial for MiBR. He takes the most out of anybody in America's League. And right now, they're not even finding him the opportunities, but even when he does, not quite winning them yet. They've swapped the KJ now here, Leviatán. And for the first time, you're having a BX like early in the round.
Alarm bots, nanos. You see Heat tucking as he tries to get through that utility. The Clappers provide some cover and Mazzino falls.
Surprised to see Mazzino fighting there when the entire idea was to use this lockdown.
Either way, RGL getting the spike down.
Taco's flank is really slow.
Shy's pacey on this. A tap to force people back in, perhaps, or draw out some more utility. King still has 2 mollies. Taco with the op shot, and there's some of those mollies being invested. Taco trying to apply some pressure from the opposite side of the map as Heat's just destroying them. How much more can he find at this point? You try to preserve the op. Taco trying to get away.
Yep, you're right. Survives with just 30 HP. We were so focused on that Taco fight, and that is exactly what it was intended to do, was split attention, but MiBR just put one person on it, JZZ, the one person who has the tools to delay him a significant amount with the flashes. And it's the second round on the board. For MiBR, they're coming into this thinking, okay, Leviatán, one of the best teams so far that we've seen in America's League, one of the best expected teams as well. But they did lose to Furia the other week. Furia are Brazil brothers, who, by the way, Brazil has not lost a single series to any other region here in the America's League so far.
It's not a bad record.
You're thinking this is very doable, despite what expectations at the beginning of the season might have been.
Taco's tucked here, and I don't know that they've seen him. He hasn't challenged this yet. Oh, they have no idea, but the opshot goes wide. He slows the dash and the cloud burst, but he's ripped out of the sky.
Uncharacteristic miss.
Just a little ahead of it.
And that was an easy shot, too.
Yeah.
Thankfully for him, Nosler got the original pick through the Viper Orb at the beginning of the round.
There.
And they've shuffled not only a Phantom over here from Mazzino, but the Op too. So he's back on the angle in a dangerous position.
doesn't really have nearly the same utility or ability to get out. But he holds the angle anyway, takes the pot shot, and backs on up.
Poison orb emitting.
Curious way to advance and play in the rest of this round here for MiBR. They had an opportunity when the Viper wall went up for them to get out of here, but they chose not to. They waited for that Trailblazer, and it was all because of this. Lockdown's gonna combo into a pit here, so this is a dangerous situation for Leviatán.
Can they navigate it effectively? They still have backside. They're just now funneling into the site, and they haven't cleared Mizzino out. He somehow has, I believe, the third weapon on the round in his hands. Now with the Spectre, and he still finds value.
They've got height on him too. Somebody's gonna jump in. That is ridiculous. I think they're MiBR not checking all the boxes. They thought that molly went off. They thought backhaul was gonna be clear, but that molly actually, in a sense, worked like a Sova dart and gave information that there was somebody back there. And the spam's just not allowing them to cross.
Combat.
Starting to snowball now. Taco's still been on the top since he's got it, pretty much. And back to a little bit more aggressive routes like we were seeing at the beginning of the game.
Holding his tight angle. Is shy down long, and he gets a kill on JZZ as well.
It's interesting that the game plan has shifted for MiBR to hit B long over and over now that the KJ has swapped over here and shy.
It's just resulting in more kills for Leviatán, to be honest. Seeming to be glad to weather what MiBR is trying to throw at him. It just feels like they can't. Ball, they feel pretty heavily outclassed here.
Yeah, especially in this round. I mean, 5v3. Can't even get the spike down right now. They've lost Mures' wall. RGL's waiting for a high tide maybe so he can put that cove down to go plant, but they also need to go aggressive with it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Heat push forward when they tap the spike.
Destroyed.
Oh, it's cheeky here from FRZ. There's no one there to wait. You see the jump peek and it's just a bait! And another clean round from Leviatán. Just losing one there at the end.
And Leviatán knew exactly what they were going to try to do there. They knew they weren't tapping that spike. They knew they didn't have the Viper wall to work around. So you actually saw Nalzor flash into spawn and force Heat to not push into spawn, but to regroup with his teammates B-Link, and he was way too late to join that fight.
Turret out.
7-2, and this is the danger of Pearl here. Leviatán definitely look incredible on this map.
Yeah, 7-2 with the makings of 8-2 written all over him. You look at the buy from MiBR, and there's not much there.
Get out of my way.
It's got knives. You saw him go for an updraft earlier on. But instead, it's just fast through art.
You mentioned a couple of rounds ago how pivotal Heat is to the success of this squad. When he's on a bender, there's just no stopping him, but he's been so quiet. Struggling to find success. But he's got to take another shot at it. This time the Cascade to intend to keep the back piece ahead of it. Just temporarily.
He has still not found a first duel win. He's been engaged in 2 of them. Excuse me, only 1 of them. See what he can find now.
He's gone out, but he's gone out by himself. No real help on the other side. JZZ intending to be that support. Drops Heat again.
Spike down B.
Shy is a 2-kill machine on this side. That's 3 rounds in a row where he takes down 2 players when the hit comes in, and you're right. This looks like A2 written all over it.
30 seconds
Spike
left.
down. Mures did get a Phantom. But what does that mean when the rest of the team is grouped up with him?
The one benefit is it seems like Leviatán is not fully convinced on where the other player is. You see Taco is still holding, and he's still looking back towards the A flank in his spawn. So they're
Spike
not
planted.
fully convinced, but I think at this point you should be able to confirm
Water rising.
and funnel. So many numbers, just 1 gun on the other side for MiBR, and that wasn't it. He's backside, and he's dropped.
Looking brutal. Anti-eco again, but there's been no situations where MiBR can really even get economy rolling.
No.
And at this point, Leviatán is starting to really roll in these retake scenarios too. Get right back up to where they're comfortable. There was those 2 rounds, the 2 rounds that MiBR won on that post plants, one on A and one on B. But MiBR have really abandoned that approach towards A, the approach towards mid. That one just straight up through B and on the split, but you haven't seen that slower controlled method that they were using against RNG where they're pivoting based off of information. I think that's because Leviatán's just not giving them anything anymore. Ever since Taco's gotten that op up, they've been a lot less aggressive. Let's see though.
Right there.
It's like they're expecting some of that mid fight that you were just referring to. A little bit of chip damage dropped.
Intention there was never to hang on. Just looking for a Taco kill, but he might actually push for the Zorb. No. Pivot's finally coming. Reckoning here. Oh, this Trailblazer can find so much info. Only the KJ spotted. That's important.
That's more confirmation, too, of what information is available. You called the Reckoning a few moments ago, countered by the Seekers. What should be a momentary window for you to be able to funnel out and create chaos on the site is gone. But now funneling forward, the dash out onto the site. Spike just now joining. Now it's met with the Reckoning of their own, and if they do this quickly, they should be able to reestablish control of the site rather effortlessly. And ZR has gotten 2 on the round. But you got to take a look at FRZ. He's on a cheeky flank. It may be too late, though. He may not get the timing on this. Every second that passes is another moment for FRZ to get better positioning. It's just 2 taps. Now, given away, still getting the kill.
Last player standing.
The Cove leaves FRZ alone. A 1v3 has to run away. There's no shot.
Again, Leviatán on the retakes are just brilliant. And a little detail there for the Harbor players.
Last round.
They don't use the Cove
switch.
until they tap the spike first. They use actually a Cloudburst to cover up the spike so that they use their ammunition and start reloading on the time when the Cove goes back up so that they can almost guarantee a half in a sense. And all that time as well used very well for the rest of the players outside of the defuse to dominate. And now looking at a 10-2 half. MiBR have to hold on and back to same old business down below. Taco hasn't been incredible in this position.
No early challenge. Taco drops the angle, takes a little bit of spam. This is another shot. Information out where the operator is, though.
What they were doing really well against NRG was actually pushing down heat with that cascade and using a cheeky angle. He was getting a lot of first picks on the artist in that game. You're seeing none of that here. A lot more respect given to Leviatán.
An attempt at misdirection, though. MiBR just dropped a late Viper's wall towards B.
I've got your trail.
I wonder if that's the cue for Leviatán to rotate through. The alarm bot is going to delay for just a moment, but the Seekers continuing to pave the way.
They've got KJ ult here, shy in the middle before the plant has even gone down. That might force MiBR to have to rotate.
So many walls blocking off every single entry to the site while Mazzino's cutting off the rotations, and there are so many members on the other side. The spam, the flash, it's all just one.
30 seconds. They still have
left.
time. Taco's gonna be able to cut him off.
He's got op too.
Does Nazwar have anything to flash for him?
He's got to be good for one, and there it is. Drops a Cloudburst to provide some cover as Leviatán continues to rotate, continues to decimate MiBR.
10 seconds
And you've
left.
seen moments like this over and over where Muris has just no chance of recovering that spike of the round.
Well, it's crazy to think it's a 10-2 half, but
Switching sides.
it feels like it is worse than the score indicates.
Yeah, definitely. It is a brutal half.
I'll throw it down to the desk to break down what just took place.
No, chill, Doug. No chill, but we kind of agree with the point that you're making. 10-2 first half, and it almost feels like they're lucky to come away with 2 rounds the way it's going at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane the way that Leviatán is able to play this map. I think they're continuing to prove that they're far and away the best Pearl team that we have, and MiBR felt like they were just returning to the rough things that we expected in the past.
I was sold some false goods. I don't know what I bought into last week. This is not the same MiBR team that I saw last week. No, this is not a team that showed up. And this is a game where I don't feel like Taco's playing his best game. He missed a couple sitters in this half, and they were giving him bait setups left and right. Even go back to the opening pistol round, he could have gotten 2 or 3. I mean, Leviatán are just running circles around them right now.
Yeah, they are. And MiBR, some of the issues that are cropping up are these mid-rounds. If the initial idea fails, if Heat dies, it doesn't feel like they're super proactive in finding another opportunity, taking more space, and finding that second option. If the initial plan fails, they've just fallen apart.
And that's where, to some degree, Sean, I wonder if we come back to this idea that you brought up, right? Which is that they had done some amount of research to let Pro go through, knowing Leviatán was going to take it. And they gambled on their own research and their own counter strat for that, and it's not playing out. And I think that's in one of those cases where, okay, it looks doubly bad because you thought you had an answer and you clearly don't.
It really looks bad because I feel like they're using their Sky util so early, and Leviatán is just making them get no value out of their single initiator.
Yeah, and now as we look ahead towards the second half, this is where Leviatán is fantastic. Like a 70% win rate on the attacking side. They're good at the B hits as you'd expect, but this team also puts a lot of pressure on Art. Will go for those splits into the A site, and their post plants are where they shine. They'll really often, as we were talking about earlier, use Taco as a tool, path him in to take space for this team, and allow him to continue to fight while the rest of the team sets up for these preset post plants that they're really strong at.
They got the Nanos down, they got the Viper Mollies down. This comp is brutal in those post plants. They're gonna do a lot better than MiBR did.
Well, they only need to find 3 rounds, and with a 70% win rate from the attacking side, it shouldn't be too difficult for them. Back over to Doug and Bala, though, to close us out on map number 1.
Thank you, Dash. Yeah, the only real question on my mind is how long it's going to take Leviatán to close this map out, to be honest, to see if they speed run their way through these last couple of rounds. It's just been a dominant display from top to bottom, and yeah, that was only on one side of the map, but given their historic proficiency, I don't know that I expect much different, Bala.
Yeah, you've seen them close out games a lot closer than this. And so, timer's paused. Okay.
Yes.
So it might take a while, actually, Doug.
Yeah. This doesn't count, right? You've paused the timer, surely.
Yeah. And I think one of the interesting things about, I mean, we were talking a lot about Leviatán's potential on that attack side and that halftime break on the desk, but they don't need much to close it out, right? And something I always look at when you look at scorelines like this is the comeback possible based off the comp entirely, right? There's so many power holds for Leviatán.
Right. That's not great.
Yeah, that's going to be a reset of the server, a reset of the lobby. Oh, they're still in the game. So.
I am being told this should be relatively short. And if I've lied to you, then it was Bala who said it. And it was not me. I had nothing to do with it.
You could trust me. Okay.
Sources, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
This will be brief.
I already can turn around and see the players back in the game. So either way, reset at the beginning of the half. And I think back to the pistols as well. It was something I was talking about a lot after MiBR lost the first pistol, but Leviatán has been very good. I mean, they've been one of the best pistol round teams in the league so far. And it's been pretty variable. But MiBR, it's been rough for them. And I think even looking forward in the rest of the series, that's something that's going to be super, super important, is even converting just this one, right? Get a little bit more comfortable, because right now what you're seeing on the MiBR side is none of the players having standout performances just yet. And every single win that they had up to this point was 100% multiple players stepping up. Ready check's done, we're back in the game. Despite the 3 players not moving in spawn. That's just final words from the IGL, calling what pistol round to go for. But look at this aggression possible here from MiBR. some things like this are kind of a good way to maybe find some momentum leading forward, whether it's in this map specifically or into the next. Is get aggressive, try to get some cheeky kills. For players like Heat, try to get them back online.
Here.
Throw a haymaker and see if it lands. It seems like that's what they're gonna do if they have 4 members across the middle of the map. And he just instantly gets peppered, man. And then dead.
First kill of the game for him. But it's followed up by 2 big ones from Taco. It might be even more. JCZ trying to follow up on this kill. Can he get it? No. And Shy to trade 2.
JCZ with a really bold swing there to try to hunt down that kill. Knowing that there were fight happening at double doors for him to swing that out of Art. I mean, I guess I understand you have to make a play, right?
Yeah.
You've got to take a shot and do something.
No, but I see what you're saying. Like, he's surrounded in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But he knows there's a flash player. Yeah, I think you go for that. Where do you think Dr. Bear is going?
I think bigger question is how does he reach the handles? He's not going to go anywhere.
He's a psychic.
11-2 lead from for Leviatán, excuse me.
I think they've got apps for that now, Doug. Just use your smartphone to move the scooter.
And just drive the scooter.
Yeah.
Careful here.
It's a full force. All of a sudden, MiBR, they have to go for something. Dire straits. It's the same kind of play though, walking into mid with 4. 3 this time only.
Turret down.
But the turret's watching. Shy's been having a game, by the way. Not usually the player you're pointing out on the side of Leviatán, but he's always consistent too.
Toxins going up.
Rock steady for the Latin American squad. Well, yeah, perhaps feeling it a little bit more than usual, although, again, the score really kind of indicates that everyone on Leviatán is feeling it.
Well, I think also MiBR just went to his site almost every single round, it felt like. Despite him switching.
Alarm bot down. Swarm grenade out.
Taco dashing forward, and you see the oppression of the harbor wall, man. Yeah, but he's able to get healed right back up.
There's nobody on the site. They're trying to stack. Let's get an advantage that way. The gamble doesn't pay off.
There's still a second gamble here, though, in the force. Right? So maybe the first one doesn't hit. Can the second one find value?
They're playing full post. Taco's going on an exploratory mission. That molly's really late. Oh my goodness.
Shy. Once again, you called him out, and now the molly's right on time. He's gotten it to half. The kills are starting to go a couple which way, but FRC with the Sheriff has gotten it to 1. The kills all fall through for Leviatán anyway.
I was thinking that might have gone down to Taco with the late flank coming through. But that's a good play by him. Good play by Leviatán. I mean, obviously the molly was a little late. They got to half, but
all good though.
Luckily able to spam it down. The high tide was still up, so it's definitely scared. You can hear it. This was the second molly coming in. But as well, Taco making that decision is because he's not really doing much other than adding spam inside of B main or holding against players who are going to push the post plant util. So for him, he's finding a little bit of something to do more valuable than just sit there and spam. Oof.
A little bit of early damage there.
But again, I mean, Taco's part of that. Nowswer can heal him a little bit back up. And they don't actually have the info. There was no response spam. They're just walking dry.
Oh. NZR on the turn.
Oh, but they're full pinched here. This might be it.
They have to fight out of A main. They succeed. Miri's having a tuck tail, run away, 11 HP.
Right there. Shield going up.
Just the pings and agent conversations. You can tell we're in a spam meta when there's just constant pings on the map.
What the heck do MiBR do?
Another late flank. They don't have as much this time, though.
And the
no second molly.
The problem is the flash from JCZ was a little early, so a false sense of security. Mizzino has now taken the space that was previously flashed. They should be unaware of this flank, and there it is.
Oh, he just walled himself off, though, Doug.
Oh, that was silly. It's a silly choice. Time is short. The spam is troublesome, and they're going to get the defuse.
Yeah, that's a tough way to wall. That's Harbor.
Gun here.
He's trying to wall off the site. And also anybody who was trying to push into B main so he could find like a just little gulag for himself in the spike diffuser. But okay, we get a little bit more extended. I think one of the issues here, following up here for MiBR is going to be so difficult by the fact that they forced into this and they're down to 2 people when this round ends, which means 3 people have to buy weapons. And I think both of these guys lost their shield too.
I believe so. Light armor on 3 of them. A Bulldog and a Guardian. And truthfully, a myriad of issues for MiBR that go well beyond just their financial situation currently.
Ult online from Azino too. That's one of the power ults that I was talking about that could definitely swing the round. I'd rather wait here and just guarantee it with a lockdown and reckoning combo, potentially even get in the pit in one of the next few rounds. But he'll end up spending it, which is definitely the right play overall, game theory wise.
Taco pushing the pace. Oh, and he drops right back down. Oh, that's cheeky. That's okay. All good. A couple of kills going in favor of MiBR early on, where the trades for Leviatán, there they are. King has gotten to Shy with the spam. King repositions. Wall goes down. And the bullets go wide. MiBR get to 4.
Taco's supposed to be able to hold that space by going for that updraft, but he's in the middle of fighting Spawn, so Furious just walks out and takes down the spike planter. A spam from Spawn enough to take down the Cove too. So something, a little bit of hope.
I mean, just a sliver.
I mean, at least to get some momentum rolling here for MiBR, just winning that force. Still no op in the hands of Heat. Still not really any insistence for him to try to get aggro and get into the game. But they force sheriffs for Leviatán.
These are always the tricky rounds, too.
Bomb grenade out.
And you go, there's no way they'll win this round. It's just sheriffs, right?
Right?
Yeah, it's just sheriff. Surely that they can't really go against all the Vandals on the other side, right?
Oh, no. At least FRZ gets 2, but there's guns recoverable there too, Doug.
Last player standing.
Oh,
Thrifty.
Oh, I love this game. I love this game so much. 13-4 in favor of Leviatán. And yeah, there were a couple of rounds that were extended, but the outcome almost secured at halftime.
Yep. 10-2 is brutal. That defense shows why Leviatán is so fearsome. Because you really have no say in how they're going to play, right? You just push on the site and they're gonna let you have it and they're gonna go for the retake over and over and over. And you can tell, they're super happy with that game plan on Pearl. I think the big question here going up next, they've lost Icebox the last time they played it. And so this one is going to be still maybe a little bit of a challenge. I'm more worried about the form coming out from MiBR right now because I'm like Sean. We've seen much difference from this MiBR and the one that we saw last week against NRG.
Yeah, fool's gold, right? Feels like an entirely different team, and I don't know that I blame you for being a bit concerned about MiBR and their form leading into this map. Again, history a problem, current performance a problem. The good thing is they have a break to figure it out. We'll see you guys on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Good time.